Hello, room 7 and room 13. All right, we are on to our 14th reading from Pippi Longstockings by Astrid Lindgren. And for the 14th reading, we are going to start chapter 9. Chapter 9 is called Pippi Goes to a Coffee Party. A coffee party? You kids aren't supposed to drink coffee. Let's get started. Tommy and Annika's mother had invited a few ladies to a coffee party, and as she had done plenty of baking, she thought Tommy and Annika might like to invite Pippi over at the same time. The children could entertain each other and give no trouble to the adults or to anyone else. Tommy and Annika were overjoyed when their mother told them and immediately dashed over to Pippi's to invite her. Pippi was in the garden, watering the few flowers still in bloom with an old rusty watering can. And as it was raining cats and dogs that day, Tommy told Pippi her watering really didn't seem necessary. "Yes, that's what you say," said Pippi, "but I have lain awake all night thinking how fun it was going to be to get up and water, and I'm not going to let a little rain stand in my way." "Now, Annika, come forth with the delightful news about the coffee party." "A coffee party? Me?" cried Pippi, and she was so excited that she began to water Tommy instead of the rose bush she had intended to sprinkle. "Oh, what will happen? Oh, I'm so nervous. What if I can't behave myself?" "Of course you can," said Annika. "Don't you be too certain about that," said Pippi. "You can be sure I'll try, but I have noticed several times that people don't think I know how to behave even when I'm trying as hard as I can." Boys and girls, this might be the first time that Pippi has acknowledged that sometimes her behavior is a little unexpected. Wow. At sea, we were never so fussy about things like that, but I promise I will take extra special pains to behave so that you won't be ashamed of me." "Oh, good," said Tommy, and he and Annika hurried home again in the rain. "This afternoon at 3 o'clock, don't forget," cried Annika, peeking out from under the umbrella. Well, at 3 o'clock, At 3 o'clock, a very stylish young lady walked up the steps of the Settergrens' house, and it was Pippi Longstockings. For this special occasion, she had unbraided her pigtails, and her red hair hung around her face like a lion's mane. With red crayon, she had painted her mouth a fiery red, and she had blackened her eyebrows so they almost looked dangerous. With the crayon, she had also painted her fingernails, and she had put big green rosettas on her shoes. "I should imagine I'll be the most stylish person of all at this party," she said contentedly to herself as she rang the doorbell. In the Settergrens' living room sat 3 fine ladies, with them Tommy, Annika, and their mother. A wonderful coffee table had been spread, and in the fireplace a fire was burning brightly. The ladies were talking quietly with one another, and Tommy and Annika were sitting on the sofa looking at a picture album. Everything was so peaceful. Suddenly, the peace was shattered. "Attention!" A piercing cry came from the hall, and the next minute Pippi Longstocking stood in the doorway. She had cried out so loudly and so unexpectedly the ladies had jumped in their seats. "Forward march!" came the next command. And Pippi, with measured steps, walked up to Miss Settergren. "Halt!" She stopped. "Arms forward! 1, 2!" she cried, and with both hands gripped one of Miss Settergren's and shook it heartily. "Knees bend!" she shrieked, and curtsied prettily. Then she smiled at Miss Settergren and said in an ordinary voice, "You see, I am really very shy, so if I didn't give myself some commands, I'd just end up standing in the hallway and not dare to come in." Then she rushed to the other ladies and kissed them on the cheeks. "Charming, charming, charming, upon my honor," she said, for she had once heard a very stylish gentleman say that to a lady. Then she sat down in the best chair she could find. Miss Settergren had intended the children to have their party up in Tommy and Annika's room, but Pippi stayed calmly in her chair, slapped herself on the knee and said, looking at the coffee table, "Oh, that certainly looks good. When do we begin?" And at that moment, Ella, the maid, came in with the coffee pot, and Miss Settergren said, "Please come and have some coffee." "First!" cried Pippi, and was up by the table in 2 skips. She heaped as many sweets as she could onto a plate, threw 5 cubes of sugar into a coffee cup, emptied half the cream pitcher into her cup, and was back in her chair with her goodies before the ladies had even reached the table. Pippi stretched her legs out in front of her and placed the plate of cakes between her toes. Then she merrily dunked the cakes and sweets in her coffee cup and stuffed so many in her mouth at once that she couldn't have uttered a word, no matter how hard she tried. In the twinkling of an eye, she had finished all the cakes on the plate. She got up, struck the plate as if it were a tambourine, went up to the table to see if there were any sweets left. The ladies looked disapprovingly at her, but that didn't bother her. Chatting happily away, she walked around the table, snatching a cake from here and a sweet from there. "Oh, it certainly was nice of you to invite me," she said. "I have never been to a coffee party before." Now on the table stood a large cream pie, decorated in the center with a piece of red candy. Pippi stood with her hands behind her back, and she looked at it. Suddenly, she bent down and snatched the candy with her teeth. But she dived down a little too fast, and when she came up again, her whole face was covered with whipped cream. "Oh, goody," laughed Pippi. "Now we can play a game. I can't see." She stuck out her tongue and licked away the cream. "This was indeed a dreadful accident," she said, "and the pie is all ruined now anyway, so I may as well eat it all at once." She dug into it with the pie server, and in a few minutes the whole pie had disappeared. Pippi patted her stomach contentedly. Miss Settergren had gone into the kitchen, so she knew nothing about this accident with the cream pie. But the other ladies now looked very sternly at Pippi. No doubt they would have liked a little pie too. Pippi noticed that they looked disappointed and decided to cheer them up. "Now, you mustn't feel bad about such a little accident," she said comfortingly. "The main thing, ladies, is that we have our health. And at a coffee party, you really ought to have fun." She then picked up the sugar bowl and tipped the cubes of sugar out onto the floor. "Well, my goodness," she cried. "Now look what I've done. How could I make such a mistake? I thought this was the granulated sugar. Oh, bad luck just seems to follow me today." Thereupon she took a sugar spoon out of another bowl and began to sprinkle granulated sugar all over the floor. "I hope you notice," she said, "that this is the kind of sugar you sprinkle on things. So it's perfectly all right for me to do this, because why would there be the kind of sugar to sprinkle on things if somebody doesn't sprinkle it? That's what I'd like to know. Have you ever noticed what fun it is to walk on a floor that has sugar sprinkled all over it?" she asked the ladies. "Of course, it's even more fun when you're barefoot," Pippi added. She pulled off her shoes and stockings, You ought to try it too because nothing's more fun, believe me. And at that moment, Miss Settergren came in, and when she saw the sugar all over the floor, she took Pippi firmly by the arm and led her over to the sofa with Tommy and Annika. Then she went over to the ladies and invited them to have some more coffee. That the cream pie had disappeared only made her happy, because she thought the ladies had liked it so much that they had eaten it all. All right, boys and girls, we're going to stop there. There's still more adventures for Pippi at this coffee party. That's, I think, only half the chapter. It's a long one, but we'll end there. Happy Friday. Have a wonderful weekend.